with the last live stream Q&A kind of thing I did. If you're watching this once the live stream has ended, then there'll be a link in the description or a timestamp in the description or in the top comment, which will basically skip to when I start answering the questions. But other than that, just going to wait for everyone to start filtering in like we normally do at the start of these things. Let's make sure my microphone's actually turned on first. That'd come in handy. Sitting there do like an hour-long Q&A and you can't even hear a word I'm saying. Sounds like something I would do. Blast Eye Studio, how you doing, buddy? Zarak002, afternoon. Hello, how are you all doing? How are we doing this fine, glorious, rainy Sunday? Or at least it is for me anyway. But yeah, as I said before, just going to let everybody filter in first, and then anyone who's watching this after the fact, timestamp in the description. It's nice and sunny here. Whereabouts, obviously, if you don't mind just saying, whereabouts are you guys from? Where am I getting people coming in from today? Oh, you watched the last part of Ultimate Alliance about an hour ago. I think this is perfect timing, isn't it? East Yorkshire. Oh, right. So, yeah, kind of my neck of the woods anyway. Like still a good, probably couple of 100 miles away from me, but more my neck of the woods than the other half of the country, the planet. Looking forward to hearing. I'm from Ipswich. You're both from the UK. It's good. I find this really weird, actually. Complete change of subject here. That I have the screen here, which is supposed to be like the live studio from where I'm supposed to control the live stream, and the live chat doesn't work. There just isn't a live chat there. There's a bar, there's a box for it, but it doesn't work. I have to open up the video with the live stream that I'm playing, like you guys do, to see the comments come up. It's really strange. Septix Secto VG is from you're from Iran. Yeah, that's definitely not my neck of the woods. That's so far out of my neck of the woods that's jumped onto somebody else's body and it's their neck instead. Jamie Cruz, New York City. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, it's strange. As I said, I think when it comes to technology, I'm just a grandpa. I could never figure out how to get the damn thing to work, but at least I can read your comments. I think the first time I ever tried to do a live stream, it took me about 5-10 minutes just to figure out how to even open up the window. So, Russia, Binabi. Can you believe I have homework from college on the weekend? I know. How dare they, eh? How dare they? Here I was thinking I could finish the Silver Lining DLC for Spider-Man. It's almost like they don't care about our games, isn't it? AJ Singh from London. Hello, hello, hello. Azos, aloha. Oh, is that a hint about where you're from? Man, we really are getting everyone from around the world here, aren't we? Okay, I'll give this just a tiny bit more time just to see if any more people come in, and then after that we'll start getting into some questions and discussing the game and stuff like that. I think we'll keep it the same as we did with the Spider-Man one, and we'll just all talk about mainly about Ultima Alliance 3 and stuff like that first, and then when we get near the end, we'll sort of branch out and just do a general Q&A if we've got any questions. Emergency Salmon, hello, how you doing? I think this time also, last time I was trying to read every single question you guys posted, and as a result, I was getting really far behind in the chat. So I think this time I'm just going to answer questions and then read whatever the newest question is. And if I've missed your question, feel free to post it again. I don't mind. There's not that many people in these live streams, so it's not like it's going to just constantly be spamming it. As long as you're not posting it every 5 seconds, it's cool. Blast Eye Studios, I have an opinion on Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. Then you've come to the right place. This is where we're talking about opinions. Dominic Schema, hey Dave, couldn't catch up with your Ultimate Alliance 3 because of college and stuff. Nah, that's fair enough. I could barely keep up with my own walkthrough, to be honest with you. Struggling to get it all recorded in time. Eric, I'm gonna mispronounce your name here. Eric Ducre or Ducre. Hey there, Cap. This is Eric from Abita Spring in America. Now we're getting everyone. Rightio, getting everyone. So I think we've got enough people here to get a bit of a conversation going. So let's jump into it. See, Blast Eye Studio there seems to have an opinion on Ultimate Alliance 3, so feel free to drop it in and I'll read it out. I never actually thought about my username, kind of skipped it. YouTube picked my username, and that's where it ended up being. Yeah, do you know what? I've mentioned it ages ago, but that's the same with my channel name here, Captain Dave. The only reason it is that is because I when I first got a PS3, I wanted to play GTA Online, and I needed to come up with a username, and I couldn't think of anything, and I didn't want to have loads of numbers in my name, so I just tried loads of different variations of Dave until I came up with like CPT_Dave. And then when I came to make a YouTube channel, I just tried to come up with something to do with Captain of Dave because it fit my PlayStation gamer tag. The only reason. The fact that I love Marvel and Captain America, complete coincidence. It's got nothing to do with it. It's just a complete coincidence. Rate all of Ultimate Alliance. Okay, then. So I think AJ Singh's right. Actually, that's a good place to start. Let's just. What's my rating on Ultimate Alliance? Oh, Ducre, your name is French. Oh, that explains it. Hey Cap, used to watch your online videos before the game came out on the PC. I don't have a console. So Alliance free drops on PC someday. I wouldn't hold your breath. It seems like it's going to be a Switch exclusive for a long time there, Julius Lee. So Lance Verrot. For me, the game was a huge disappointment. The story was horrible. I wish they'd stop putting thanks everywhere. The ISO 8 system is boring and ultimately useless. I do somewhat agree with some of the stuff you're saying. I think we need to jump into this now, actually. It's just a bunch of comments come through, and I don't want to miss them like I did in the Spider-Man one. Oh, that's free. It's got to be game of the year for me. Wow, there's real contrast in opinions here going on. It felt disappointing, the worst lack of the fan service. Right, yeah, so let's get into this. So it seems like we're getting a lot of varying opinions here in the comments, which is good. It's good. We're going to get a nice little conversation going here. So my thoughts, let's get this thing started. My thoughts on, sorry, I just saw someone say, last night say the lack of costumes is very disappointing. Oh, yeah. Holy, so lazy. I mean, they didn't even use different color palettes. It was all blue and purple. Anyway, right, jumping ahead. So my thoughts on the game is actually, I hope you're watching the chat. If you're watching this back after the videos, you can watch the live chat. Septics, I'm just going to call you Septics to stop me getting tongue-tied, said the story was kind of meh. And that's actually my opinion on the whole game. I'm trying not to be, I don't want to be falsely positive and I don't want to be overly negative either. But when I heard it was going to be on the Switch, I was excited we were getting a new game, but also I was kind of thinking like it's just on the Switch. Nothing against the Switch. I've loved the Switch. I'm really impressed with some of the games that are coming out on it. And I did enjoy Ultima Alliance 3. Before I say anything, I want to get that out there. I did enjoy the game. Wouldn't have done the walkthrough of it if I didn't. Mass Effect Andromeda, Spider-Man Web of Shadows, games that other people like, I haven't done a walkthrough of because I don't like them. So I wouldn't have done a walkthrough if I didn't like this game. But I was kind of pessimistic when I heard it was going to be on the Switch. When I saw some of the trailers and I saw some of they didn't show gameplay straight away. It was like the cinematic trailers. I thought it was going to be okay, but they were very obviously targeting a younger audience. They were very obviously taking cues from the MCU, and as someone said in the comments just now, it's very fan servicey. It was, I don't know, it was weird. It was like an odd blend of all the characters from the MCU, but blended with their comic history as well. It was really odd in some places, but it kind of worked. But it wasn't. I think the one thing that the Ultima Alliance 1 and Ultima Alliance 2 had, which this one didn't, was the tone was more serious. I want to say in the first two, it was more geared at those who are actually fans of comics. Like there was a lot of knowledge you'd only know if you'd read those character stories and you'd read their backstories. Whereas this one was very much more, if you knew nothing about comics, they wanted you still, they sort of delivered it all to you want to play. It was all very almost cartoony. And I don't mean that in the way it looked, but in the way, like when you watch an Avengers cartoon or a Spider-Man cartoon, it's all, you evil villain and stuff like that. And I've noticed they said that a lot, like especially when we were in Hell and you're up against Hela, they always spoke announcing like their titles: Queen of the Dead, Lord of Thunder. Like, I don't know, I'm going off on a tangent, but so I'm just getting distracted by some of the comments down there in the corner. Definitely made for the comic books. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, getting back on track. 1 and 2, I feel like it was geared more, I wouldn't say as adults, but a more mature audience. People who had read the comics, people who would understand the lore and the history. Whereas this wasn't necessarily aimed at kids, but it was aimed at a broader audience. It was very just friendly. But as a side of that, as a result of that, I felt like it lost a lot of its impact. It fell very flat. As someone said, the story was kind of meh, and that's what I felt. The second I knew it was about the Infinity Stones and Thanos, I was instantly bored. Like, yeah, okay, I know it's going to get a lot of new fans in because of the MCU, and people are going to love the Infinity War and Endgame, and then see this game and go, oh, I would love to pick up a Switch. I'll buy this game. So they want to see what they've seen at the cinema, and I get that. But I can't help but feel there is a lot more passionate fans who grew up reading comics as opposed to those who have been introduced since Endgame. And those passionate fans that have read comics their whole life, or maybe have only just got into comics but absolutely love them, are going to stick around longer than those who think superheroes are the flavor of the month because of the films they've just seen. And that's what I felt with this game. There was at no point a moment in this game where I was like, I have to find out what happens next. There was no, oh, I've just got to do one more mission. I could very easily put it down and then just come back to it later. And quite often people say that as a good thing, like, oh, it's easy to pick up. But a good game is just like a good book or a good TV show or a good anything. You shouldn't want to put it down. You should always want to do just that bit more and that bit more. And this game just, it didn't have that for me at all. The story was very by the numbers. Gather the Infinity Stones. There was so many plot holes. And you know me, I'm a story person. The gameplay could be naff, but as long as it's got a good story, it's got me. And this just felt very two-dimensional with the characters. It was Captain America's for righteousness, and that was that. Even in Ultima Alliance 2, like, I think a lot of people forget when Ultima Alliance 2 came out, everyone hated that game when it first came out. I remember it getting a lot of stick, and I enjoyed it, but a lot of people didn't like that game when it first came out. But even that, you had the registration movement, Cap's side, Iron Man's side. You had the thoughts and opinions of every character as you were going through as to why they stood for this side, why they stood for that side. There was stakes involved. And then them trying to come together against the nanites. There was stakes. In this, it was just good, bad. And that was that. And I don't know. It felt very flat for me. In series, but I don't think it was a masterpiece as for some of the Alliance games. Yeah, I feel like one thing that I don't want to happen is a lot of people, I think they look at Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2 as if it was the best thing ever. But the one thing I would definitely recommend is go back and play it now, because you might be looking back with nostalgia goggles. I'm not saying they're not good games, but as I say, Ultima Alliance 2, everyone crapped on that game when it came out. I remember being so excited for it, and then it came out and just hearing everyone going, oh, it sucks. It's nothing like the first one. And then 3 comes out, and then everyone's saying the first 2 are amazing. I remember it's the same with New Vegas, Fallout New Vegas. I remember hearing a lot of flack about that game when it comes out. Now everyone calls it the best Fallout game. Opinions change over time. Quite often, everyone hates the new change, but then when that changes again, they want to go back to the original. I'm not saying that's the case with these 2 games. Like I love both of the Ultima Alliance 1 and 2, but I do feel like sometimes people put them up on a pedestal. If there's a 4 that comes out, you might find people start talking good about Ultima Alliance 3. You never know. At least the Black Order was kind of comics accurate. Yeah, I've read little about the Black Order in comics. I read the Infinity story. I think Jonathan Hickman, I believe it was. That was a good story. And I mean, that's where like that's where I learned about the Black Order and Thane and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm not saying it was a bad game. Like, I'm just talking about the story right now, but I wouldn't say it was a bad game, but there was just nothing that really gripped me. There was loads of plot holes. I don't like, since the movie's come out, this obsession with the Infinity Stones. They're just doing it to death. And it's just, I feel like there were so many other things they could have made. They could have made an original story. And I know this was an original story in essence, but it's not. It's Thanos collecting the Infinity Stones. We know that. They've just slapped a different color of paint on it. But slapping a different color of paint on it is not a conversation we should have right now when it comes to what they did with the alternate costumes in this game. Jesus. Interesting topic. Yeah. Septics just said, yeah, lately nothing Marvel is serious. They just don't try to be only a little more than interesting. They are just targeting children mostly. Even Spider-Man game, while gameplay was okay, the story was only okay. I disagree about the end then. I love the Spider-Man game completely, wholeheartedly, but a lot of the stuff they're doing is they're focusing the comics to match what the fans want instead of making comics with new and interesting stories. I've heard what they're doing with XMen right now is supposed to be incredible, but I'm quite behind on my comics. JB Cruz said going back to Atalan anytime soon. Nah, a trip to Atalan sucked. It sucked. We got attacked by a monster constantly. We picked up Thane that ended up being a major thorn in our side. And Medusa was rude to us. Nah, Atalan sucked. Let's take Crystal and let's be going. Emergency Salmon, you hate Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 by burning passion. Yeah. So I think also it matters. It's the same like when I made the ill-fated decision to talk about the Spider-Man movies a while back. It all depends what you're looking for in a game. And I think actually this will lead us on nicely to talking about gameplay mechanics. I just want to answer a few more questions before I start going on a big ramble again. Ultimate Alliance 1 had the best tone out of all of them. Again, I think it depends what you're looking for. I really like the tone of Ultimate Alliance 2, but then I'm biased because I love the Civil War story. So I loved everything about that. I remember being so excited for that game to come out. Game cost for that New Vegas. Oh, I like how there's other games that I haven't finished now yet. Fallout New Vegas still gets me the most. I mean, it's always gonna. Will you play it again with an X-Men team? With regards to playing the game again, with when the DLC comes out, we've obviously got all the like the supernatural ones. What's it called? Marvel Knights DLC that's coming out. I won't do a whole entire walkthrough again, but there will be new game modes that get released, like Gauntlet mode's going to come out with the Marvel Knights, and I'll do a few videos playing with the new characters and doing the Gauntlet mode thing, but I'm not going to do a full walkthrough again. But, oh, Jesus, my phone's going off. Why does my phone always go off when I do these live streams? Did Galactus at least show up since I couldn't catch up? No, but there was a post-credit scene, and I'm curious of what your thoughts are on this, because it looked like two universes suddenly appeared at the end, but they were very clearly meant to be eyes. I think it's the eyes of the universe, because in the Ultimates comic, the universe is actually an entity that we all exist in. So I think the universe is a bit peeved off over what Thane and Thanos were up to and how they nearly broke the whole thing apart. I think the universe might be a little bit angry. Is there any connection between Ultimate Alliance 3 and 1 and 2? There is a vague connection between 1 and 2. They in number 2, they do mention the events of Ultimate Alliance 1 in a sense, like Doctor Doom is locked up, and they mention Galactus at one point, because Galactus was geared up at the end of Ultimate Alliance 1 to be like the big bad enemy of 2, and it never really happened. They kind of mentioned in 2 when you're talking to Thor about how they defeated Galactus, so it's sort of like Ultimate Alliance 1 set up for Ultimate Alliance 2 to be the Galactus bad guy, and then when that didn't happen, they just in a quick throwaway remark said, oh look, do you remember when we dealt with Galactus? So it's like it happened in between the two games. But with 3, no, completely different. It's got nothing to do with the first 2 at all. It's or at least if it is, they don't mention it at all. Personally, you would have preferred a different story for MCU 3. I'm guessing that was Ultimate Alliance 3. I think I'm going to get those two mixed up as well. Yeah, I would have much preferred a different story. Rusho, reality is often disappointing. Lord Sprayer, will I play Fortnite? Never. Never, ever, ever. The only time I'll ever play Fortnite is when I play with my nephew. Other than that, no, I'll never play it. I have yet to start on comics. It's where to start. I mean, it's so hard. I mean, I was even trying to make a comic book reading list, and in the end, I just got too difficult and I got too busy. But I wish the developers changed the title of the game so both old and new fans won't get confused with the old continuity. Yeah, I mean, this definitely seemed like a fresh start to me, but Upward Boss, hey Dave, so what do you think of Ultimate Alliance 3 in the end? Only halfway through watching your playthrough, I'm behind. Yeah, so oh, Julius Lee, that's a good question. I want to get back to that. So yeah, so I still I want to talk about some of the gameplay things before I give like an ultimate my thoughts on the game. But what comic would I like to be adapted for a hypothetical Ultima Alliance 4? That's a good question. That's a good question. To be honest, I would rather see an original story. That was the one thing, as much as I love the Civil War story, that was one of the things I think people disliked about Ultima Alliance 2, was Ultima Alliance 1 had an original story. Ultima Alliance 2 had a story we all knew, and then they had an original ending, I think is the better way to put that. But yeah, no, I'd rather they have an original ending. If they've got to pick one from the comics, Secret Wars would be really fun, fighting other heroes from alternate realities. But they've got to be different. If they just get an Iron Man who's a different color palette, like this game, that'd be naff. But if they actually got like an Iron Man that had a different set of armor, like all the different Spider-Verse type people, like that would be cool. Secret Wars event, yeah, that'd be decent. And they could set that up based on the ending of this one. But what happened to Beast? I don't know. He alliterated himself into a black hole. Oh man, that grated on me so much throughout this walkthrough. It really did. Yeah, but I think he'll be a playable character in the XMen DLC coming out, and obviously the Fantastic Four DLC that comes out after that as well. I'll be playing too. But right, yeah. So I think I'm going to jump in and talk about some of the gameplay things. So this is one of the things where I think this game, it kind of like it didn't know what it wanted to be. In my opinion, like as I said before, the story was very much focused at people who aren't too much in the know about comic books. It was very, don't know, like what people would perceive heroes to be. Whereas the gameplay, it tried to go in the complete opposite direction. The story was very welcoming and just very sort of 2D for anyone who wanted to get involved. The gameplay is like they really wanted to lean into the RPG elements of the game, but in the end, I don't know, just made it cumbersome. I think it's the best way to describe it. Like if you got Ultimate Alliance 1, where you would find gear and you would upgrade your character's stats individually in the same way you would in that from what I've seen in the brief amount of X-Men Legends I've played. You would have to like, do you want to upgrade their physical attacks? Do you want to upgrade their energy attacks? Which attacks do you want to put points in? Then you'd find like a headband or a waistband or a plate of armor, and you'd choose who it goes to because it buffs certain stats and stuff like that. I feel like they didn't want to go too hard into that because they were trying to make it easy for new people to come into. But at the same time, they went more down like a hack and slash route, and they focused so much on that goddamn stagger bar. That stagger bar is the thing that I think has, I don't know, just ruined this game for me the most. I say that like it's ruined's probably not the right word because I did enjoy the game. But that stagger bar, I think, eliminated a lot of fun from the game. Whereas, say like in Ultima Alliance 2, they created the fusions where you would do one finisher and one finisher, and they would combine to make a new move. And they hyped it up as if there was so many different combos, but in the end, there was really only 4 or 5 combos. You were just changing the color of them. Like if you had Human Torch and Storm, wow, you create a flaming tornado. But then you have Human Torch and Thor, you're creating a flaming tornado. And you realize it's the same move, just with a different character. Like Thing would smash a rock, Iceman would ice it, Hulk would smash a rock, Human Torch would flame it, and you're thinking after a while you realize it's just the same move over and over again. It's like I feel like in this they tried to avoid that, but in the end they avoided it by doing something that was similar but not, in the sense of these extreme attacks, which were cool, but in the end it just became a whole mash of color on the screen. You had no idea really what was going on. But yeah, I kind of went off on a tangent now. I didn't mean to talk about that. But yeah, the stagger bar, it's like they try to focus all their RPG elements into that. So, okay, you don't just hit and slash and knock down characters. You have to think about it. You have to take down their stagger bar, stun them, hit them with a synergy, and that's how you do them damage, which was cool. But the problem was it funneled what characters you could and couldn't use, at least in my opinion. I've only played through the game twice, and half my team was the same on both playthroughs. Like there's characters, if I was just pick characters I wanted, Captain America would be one of them. I would also have a whole variation of spider people. I'd have Star-Lord on my team. Characters like Thor, by the way, never used, but he is so much fun to play in this game. I'd have Nightcrawler on my team. I'd have characters that I want to use. The problem is the characters I want to use did no damage to a stagger bar. So there was no point in having them. Like originally, when you even see at the start of the walkthrough, I had Miles Morales because he was a character that was good at setting down his webs and it would hit a lot of enemies, which would be good for clearing them all. The only problem with that was all the other enemies could clear enemies as well. They had area. Every character had like a charged attack, an area attack, and then like a more just standard button bash attack. Like, so you didn't need the area character because you had the normal character to do it. So in the end, you're sort of forced into having to use characters that can take down the stagger bar. Hence, Captain America, Hulk, and Psylocke. Because they're characters that all had attacks that could take down a stagger bar. And obviously there's other characters you can pick as well. But it just felt like if I used people like Star-Lord or Miles Morales or people like that, and then the rest of my team got knocked out, I was dead. I was done. That was it. I was dead in the water because they couldn't do sufficient damage to the stagger bar, which for a game called Ultima Alliance seemed counterproductive because they're saying, here's all these characters, but really you only want to use these. Which actually sort of brings back to a larger problem with the game is the fact that all characters don't level up. Which just, that killed it for me. My plan for the walkthrough was I was going to do sort of like I did with Ultima Alliance 2, where every single mission I used a different team. So I get to showcase my entire alliance, different combinations, characters we haven't seen before. You couldn't do it because your characters leveled up as you used them. So then I'm 2 missions in. I want to switch up and use Iron Man. I can't because he's still level 5. My other character's now level 15. And yeah, you could put him in and the other 3 could carry him. But then you're still just working to get him up to that other level, which then hinders the progression of the other 3 characters. And then you're at a disadvantage by the time you get to the end. And yeah, I know there's XP cubes, but they only work once or twice and then you've run out. And that's why they introduced those Infinity Rifts. So then, okay, if you want to use a different character, you can play the Infinity Rifts and level them up there. But the problem is they introduce the Infinity Rifts, and that's cool if you want to do it, but you shouldn't have to do it. If you just want to play the main story of the game, you should be able to play the main story with a game. I don't know. It just, for a game, as I said before, called Ultima Alliance, they narrowed it down so you could only use a few characters. So, right, now we can only use characters to take down the stagger bar. Right, out of those characters, you can only use the 4 that you've originally picked. Otherwise, I don't know. It's a shame. You can, like, even if it was a light-hearted story, that's fine. I'm up for having fun. Like, the game was fun, as I said at the end of the walkthrough. It really was. Despite everything I'm saying, I did enjoy it. It was fun. But that doesn't mean there aren't problems. I just feel like it's so funny in a game called Ultimate Alliance, and then they shoehorn you only into using a few characters, unless you sit there and break the progression of the story to just spam over and over and over again these Infinity Rifts to try and level up your characters, because it isn't quick. It takes a while to do it, especially the higher the levels they get. Like, obviously, I would spam the Infinity Rifts, and then when your characters get to higher levels, then use the XP cubes to get them up to scratch, but it's a shame. And the thing is, after a while, it wasn't... Once you figured out the system of how to take down the stagger bar and stuff, it no longer was fun. It was... I don't know. It's situations like this. It's like I find my words don't accurately get across what I'm trying to say. But once you figure out how a game should be playing, it should be fun. You should always want to, as I said before, just to keep going. Just one more bit. You don't want to put it down. That wasn't the case with this. It was... use your heavy attacks or use your charge attacks, knock down the stagger bar, use a synergy to stun them, and then do a finisher while they're stunned, and lava, rinse, repeat. And my original plan when I played this game was to do the walkthrough, and then I was going to do another walkthrough with a different set of characters, all at a level 100 on superior mode. And then that way, every mission I could use a different team because they're already fully leveled up. That was my initial plan. And then I was going to do character profiles on how best to use Star-Lord, how best to use Drax, and do a different video, each profiling a different character. By the time I was 2-3 recording sessions into doing the walkthrough, I just wasn't interested in doing it. The thought of playing through the game again, it wasn't something that appealed to me, and that's a shame. That's a real damn shame because, as I said, I've played Ultima Alliance 1 and 2, especially 2, several times. And I mean, it's a shame, but it is what it is, unfortunately. The only thing, as I say, it was an enjoyable game the first time and mostly for the second time I played it. Hopefully, it's just something they learn and build upon in the next one. Create an original story that's actually compelling and there's actually stakes. And I don't know. It just kind of felt by the numbers, this one. There was nothing new that gripped me to it. Yeah, would have liked to switch up characters a bit more. Yeah, that was one of the biggest flaws. The stagger bar and the fact I couldn't switch up characters, that just killed it for me. I wanted to use characters that I've never used before. I wanted to put like Star-Lord, Cap, Miles Morales, and Spider-Gwen, like people like that all on a team. They'd be like, wow, that's completely different. We've got characters in this game that we've never had in other games before. And then it got to the point where I wanted to use them, and I realized they were vastly underleveled compared to everyone else. I mean, the one good thing is, at least when you get new characters, they're at the level you should be. So you can just chop them into your team. But then the character you chuck out is now underleveled. So, I don't know. And the thing is, if they had fixed, despite everything I've said, if they had fixed that, if they either introduce a patch or something where you have a choice if you want your characters to level up, kind of like the XP share in Pokemon. Like, even if you did that, even if it hindered you a little bit, like your characters would level up a bit slower, but just so everyone could level up, I would take that. That would be fine. And you have an option whether you turn that on and off. Because every time you watch the cutscene, your whole alliance is supposed to be there with you anyway. Like, every time there's a cutscene, there's a different 4 characters standing there, because the whole point of the game is it's supposed to be you're controlling 4 characters, but it's supposed to be everyone's going along together. So why would only some level up? If they introduced that and all characters leveled up together, I would find the game had a lot more replayability, to be honest with you, just because I can use different characters. Like, playing as the same 4 characters throughout the whole game, just after a while, you sort of, yeah, you're getting good at them, but again, I was just like, next mission. Individual leveling is better in my opinion because it's capable to follow. Alliance leveling didn't work for me because I had to manage my entire alliance at once. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Like, it did make it easier just to manage 4 people than it does everyone. But the thing is that when I did it in some of my other walkthroughs, I didn't have to manage everyone at once. I just managed the 4 I used. So when, let's try to think of an example. Say I was using the Fantastic Four in one of the missions, and the next mission I wanted to use the XMen. They'd be sitting there with a whole bunch of points. Then I'd add all the points to where I wanted them and then use that team. I wouldn't, after every mission, level up every single character. I would just level up the 4 I was using. So yeah, at the start of each mission, I had to sit there and level up 4 characters. But that's how I personally did it anyway. I just leveled up the ones I'm using, but I had the option to swap them out as it went. But I do get what you're saying. Like, if you were trying to keep them all level at the same time, it does take a while. Especially like in Ultima Alliance 1, where you had the gear you had to give them as well. And then you say you got a better piece of gear, and then you think, well, I'd rather give this to Doctor Strange now or something. And then you'd have to go into the menu. And so I sort of get where you're coming from there. I feel like the combat system as a whole was better in Ultima Alliance 1 and 2. I feel like it's a completely separate combat system in this. This is very much more hack and slash. And I know the first 2 kind of were. Well, actually, no. Number 1 actually had very connective. Like, you could actually grab enemies and throw them and stuff like that. And you could in 2 as well, actually. I don't know. The combat in this was very different. It was very, very much hack and slashy with all the numbers coming up on the screens. And like when they do it, like Wolverine does a slash, the big claws come up on the screen. And it was supposed to be a lot more glitz and glamour. I do feel like some of the problems with comparing 1 and 2 and 3 is sort of like comparing Call of Duty and Battlefield. Both first-person shooters, both set in like an army scenario, but 2 different games. And I feel like Ultima Alliance 3 is a leave. Like, you got Ultima Alliance 1 and 2 and Ultima Alliance 3. It seems like they shouldn't have called it Ultima Alliance 3. They should have just called it Ultima Alliance The Black Order, I feel. Because it's like Mass Effect Andromeda. In the Mass Effect universe, completely different thing. But I don't know. I think the best way to say is the combat system was different. It was just different. I wouldn't necessarily say it was bad. It was just the stagger bar that I hated. some things were very satisfying. It might sound silly, but like when you did a synergy and there was that smash sound, it was very satisfying to hear. I don't know why. Especially when you got characters like Star-Lord that could set up their own synergies. You just hit off the whirlwind and then use the flame attack, and it set off a synergy, so he can actually synergize with himself. Two odd bats. Hey, Captain, how's the stream going? It's going all right now. Sort of jumping in and out between saying my thoughts and reading the questions, trying to give it a even spread. Yeah, Marvel Alliance 2 walkthrough was really fun to watch because you kept switching up different characters on your team. Yeah, I actually planned it. I actually had a little notepad before I started the walkthrough, and I made a list of what characters I was going to use on each mission to try and make sure I used every character at least once. I don't think I could actually use every character in the end because there was more characters than there were missions. But yeah, I planned that. I sat there for a long time trying to plan which characters I was going to use on what mission. I was going to do the same for this. That's one of the reasons why I actually played it once. I mean, obviously I was still having my treatment, so I weren't feeling that great. So I just wanted to play my game. But yeah, I played it once, and I was going to sit there and just make a list of what characters I want to use for what mission and what characters would fit the story and what characters would be best to use. And I was going to try and match the characters to the cutscenes. So every time there's a cutscene, though, I'll be using those characters. And then when I realized the cutscene changed like 4 or 5 times in the mission, I abandoned that. But your favorite part of Ultima Alliance was the first one. The story was amazing, and it was your childhood game. As you said, the story was a beast. Yeah, it was a long game as well. I remember it being a long game though, but looking back on my walkthrough, I think it's like 40 parts. So it's not as long as I remember remembering it, but I remember it just being a lot harder. Yeah, see, that's the thing about the Ultimate Alliance games as well. Ramian79 said he wished he made Thor a more powerful character in the game. That's the thing. When you have an Ultimate Alliance like this, they've got to try and make each character on a level playing field. But then when you got someone like Thor, who is a god, or Hulk, who is the Hulk, how do you make them as effective as Star-Lord or as Rocket Raccoon? You can't really. I will say the one thing they did combat-wise in this game, which I really liked, was they made each character feel unique. I've never enjoyed playing with Thor in a game. Just never have. I don't know what it is. It's just nothing. The guy doesn't appeal to me. Until MCU Thor, I was never interested in Thor at all. In this game, Thor's gameplay is so much fun. Throw him Mjolnir back and forth. So much fun. Like only just second to Captain America's shield. Maybe more, actually. But Thor, so much fun. I found in like Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2, you would play as Thor and he had the hammer. But he felt exactly like every other character. He just had a different skin on. So you're punching and kicking. And yeah, they might do a different animation, but it was punch, punch, hit up. Punch, punch, hit up. And the fact he was holding a big-ass hammer in his hand made no difference to like his punches or the weight. In this game, when he punches, you could punch with... I don't know, I'm trying to think of someone who... Captain America. And it'll be punch, 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 and then he throws his shield and it bounces back. With Thor... I don't know if it's just me, but it feels like his punches are slower, but not but they punch quick. But then there's like a long delay on the backswing because of the weight of the hammer. And when he throws the hammer, it isn't just a zip zip. He throws, and then it's like he has to pull it back. And I don't know what it is, but that sort of stuff is really satisfying to me. Because then you actually feel like you're playing as Thor. You're actually feeling like when he's got this heavy hammer in his hand, and you hear it make that clonk sound as it clonks him in the head, and like firing the lightning out of it, and like he spins his hammer up to do a charge, and it's also satisfying. And I feel like they've done that with a lot of characters. Like Star-Lord's constantly flying around and moving. You never want to stay in one place as Star-Lord. And you got the agile fighters, like even the 3 Spider people. You got Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen. Could have easily been the exact same character with a different skin, but they're not. They've done stuff so each one feels different. Spider-Gwen especially is just incredibly powerful. It was a real toss-up between her and Miles, who I was going to have on my team. I think Spider-Gwen's actually the better character. I just like Miles. So I wanted him on my team. Do you prefer the cel-shaded cartoon or the more realistic one from the MCU past? Reminds me of X-Men Legends. I prefer the more realistic tones, to be honest, not just in the style of the characters, but also the story. like having a cell shaded stuff is absolutely fine. Like even if they made a serious one that's cell shaded, I mean, look at the Telltale games. I know it's not cell shaded, but it's very bright and beautiful colors. Even the Walking Dead games, which is more musty, it's still a colorful comic book styled game. But you can still do serious tones with cell shaded. But I just prefer. I do feel like the cartoony style they've used for this game matched the tone. Like that was dead on. Like sometimes they try and make them look ultra serious, ultra realistic, and it just makes it look boring. Whereas if they make it look cartoony, it sort of forgives some of the, at least in my mind, some of the story aspects. But I personally would prefer the more realistic looking ones. But like Ultima Alliance 2 was one of my favorites of sort of how the characters look, not necessarily in cutscenes, but in the actual gameplay. It wasn't too ultra realistic, but it wasn't cartoony. It was a nice blend in the middle. The first Ultima Alliance did the whole welcoming new fans thing way better. You could find a lot about the characters and concepts you'd never seen before. It was good for everyone. Yeah, see, that's the thing. That was the RPG elements that Ultima Alliance 1, I think, did the best. Because in Ultima Alliance 3, you do have dossiers and stuff like that you could read, but it's almost just like Rocket Raccoon's giving his rundown of each character, and he's giving it in his perspective, and that's about it. In Ultima Alliance 1, if you weren't interested in the backstories of the characters, you didn't need to know. But if you wanted to, there was dossiers telling you about the characters, who they were, telling you about locations you're going to, and stuff like that. But I like stuff like that when it gives you the option to do sort of like the codex entries in Mass Effect and loads of other games like that. But if you want to find out more, you can. Deadpool Sexy Hotline, what's up? How are you doing, Deadpool Sexy Hotline? Don't remember calling you. But yeah, but then I suppose then again, this game wasn't taking itself really too seriously either, was it? So I remember rumors last year that Square Enix Avengers game was going to be called Ultima Alliance. Obviously, that wasn't in the end, but I'm not surprised they made a game called like 3 for sales. Yeah, I suppose, yeah, because you hear it's Ultima Alliance 3 instead, and you think it's going to be a direct continuation, or at least you think it's going to be in that same vein as like the first 2 games. I do think it's a bit misleading calling it 3, to be honest. The soundtracks in the first MUA were amazing. It gives you excitement. In MUA 3, it sounds like it doesn't had full of energy. Some of the soundtracks in Ultima Alliance 3, I really enjoy. There's the one when you're in hell that sounds like you're on the Citadel. I love that one for obvious reasons. The main theme, the main like title theme, I thought was all right. I was sick to death of the boss theme by the time the end of the game. Boing, boing, boing. And then that's just the sound it always made when the boss first stands up and goes, aha! Sick to death of that soundtrack by the end of it. Yeah, good soundtrack though makes a game sometimes. It's one of the things Mass Effect 3 really lacked, the fact that there was some really good songs in Mass Effect 3, some really great scoring, but then in some areas there was just nothing. Like when you first go back to Earth and you've gathered your fleet and there was just no music, killed it flat, dead in the water. The best part of the game was when you play with friends. I wish I had some sometimes. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people have said. It's okay on your own. It's a lot more fun with friends. But I think that's true with any multiplayer sort of alliance game like this. It's same with 1 and 2. Or any game like that. I think they're always more fun when you play with friends. I do feel like this one was made for co-op more than the others. And that's why it didn't take itself too seriously. I think they wanted you to be playing with friends and playing as your favorite hero throughout the whole game. I think that's really what they were more aiming for. Any plans to remake Ultima Alliance 1 walkthrough on a higher difficulty or something? I tried to do that actually before this game came out. But I can't record off my PlayStation 3 with the recording software I have now. When I made those original walkthroughs, I was using a much older Hauppauge PVR, the one that used to have all the PVR cutouts all the time. And now I'm using the Elgato instead, which is a much better recording software. But Sony has a filter built in onto its older console, so you can't record off of it. I mean, the only reason I could record Spider-Man PS4 was because you have the ability to turn that off. But otherwise, yeah, I'd love to. I'll have to see about maybe like trying to get it on like the 360 or because they used to be able to buy them on the Xbox One, but they removed it. probably when they sold the rights for Ultima Alliance 3, probably. But yeah, that's actually probably the reason why. Yeah, as you say, like hopefully, as Tuobat said, hopefully the reception for this game doesn't stop fourth being made. I don't think it's really been overtly negative, the response to this game. So hopefully a fourth one does get made. Because despite everything I've said, I would buy and play a fourth one. Like I said, I'm talking about a lot of the flaws and a lot of things I disliked. But that's not to say it was a bad game. I did enjoy the game. That's great. His cat redesign is a war crime. It looks like oh, you're talking about the Secret Empire Captain America suit that they announced for the Avengers game. Yeah, it does look weird, doesn't it? But hey, I suppose they're drawing from the comics at least, I guess. As long as it's an alternate costume and not his real one. Oh, right. Yeah, that's what I need to talk about. This is one thing that isn't just my opinion. This is everyone's opinion. The alternate costumes in this game. Now, I love alternate costumes. I know, like, as I've said, like, you really need, like, the game story needs to be good. The game's mechanics need to be good. But I'm a sucker for bells and whistles. I love a good alternate costume. I love a good alternate skin. This game let it down. I was going to sit there and grind to get all the alternate costumes in the Infinity Trials. I got too excited and I just had to Google to find out what they looked like. And I'm so glad I did. So I didn't waste my time. It is pathetic. I normally try not to be so just like aggressive or negative, like for no reason. But it was just pathetic. The costumes, they were all just the original costume, just with a color change, and it wasn't even a clever color change. It was just, now they're blue, now they're purple. Like the Spider-Man one kind of made sense because they gave him his metallic kind of suit. But the suits themselves were exactly the same. They were. It was just so upsetting. They didn't even try to change them for a reason. Like, I don't know. It was just, at least now we're finally starting to get some more costumes coming in. I just hope they all get released as free DLC. If they try to charge you for alternate costumes now, it's just going to be a crime. Like they brought out like the Hulk, like the Warrior Hulk suit, and you got a Captain Marvel one going back to original Miss Marvel roots, and like that's cool. But that's what it should have been in the base game. Like, it's just so disappointing. Zachary Durdle, how you doing, buddy? Glad you could jump in here. Yeah, if they made an Ultima Alliance 4, I'll definitely jump on that. I like how Two Odd Bats, your comment by Maximus is waiting for my approval. No, we can show that. I like how even YouTube live chat doesn't like that. Freezer Frost, how you doing? I'm doing fine. How are you doing? Yeah, no, I mean, it's made me angry as well because I'd really love to play Ultima Alliance 1 and 2 again, and they just removed it from the store. For those who have already bought it, I'm assuming you can still play it. Oh, yeah, they wouldn't stop you from playing it, but... Who's the most powerful hero in the Marvel Universe? Oh, I'm not even going close to that. Whatever I say, I'll be wrong. Plus, I don't know all the characters. It's got to be one of the big ones that came up near Secret Wars, like Rabuma or that's not how you say his name. The one above all, I can't remember. And then you got the Council of something. Oh, I'm not even going near it. We went from 40 Spider-Man costumes last year to one recolor. I know. And as far as I know, I don't think they even had like pressure to get this game out. It's not like it was the awaited sequel of something. You know, they had 10 years. E-Shooter. Oh, I love you too, buddy. Well, I don't know you, but I'm sure you're a nice person. It probably depends on Nintendo's money as well, how much they are invested in finally having the Ultima Alliance facing Galactus. Hopefully, the supposed DLC characters that give some costumes. Yeah, it's just, I personally feel it isn't justified to have to pay for the alternate costumes. I feel like they should have been there from the base game. If they had given us the characters with no alternate costumes, then released alternate costumes in the DLC, I would kind of be okay, like that makes sense. But the fact they gave us such a pathetic version of alternate costumes, because it wasn't an alternate costume, it was an alternate palette change. It's like, I don't know. I feel like now they'd need to bring them out as free DLC. Just we were lazy here. Yes, I've heard Shattered Dimensions, by the way. It does. It's so expensive. Ultima Alliance 1 to get a physical copy is so expensive now. I don't know if it's because I don't know if they've stopped making the game. So now it's like rare to be able to actually have a copy of it or not. But Jimmy Rogers, you heard that Joe Fix was in the game. Then it was literally just Grey Hulk that hurt. Apparently, Joe Fix is actually going to be in the Avengers game. The Square Enix one. He's got the suit and the hat and everything. I don't know if that's just because this game didn't. I don't know. But apparently. YouTube doesn't like Maximus. Yeah, who does? Yes, you can still play 1 and 2 on the PS4. Is it still available in the store, or is it just because you've already bought it, you can play it? Jimmy Rogers. Rightio, I think at this point, actually, we're about 50 minutes in. I'll still talk about Ultima Alliance 3, because I'm pretty certain there's stuff I forgot about. The way my brain is these days, I'm constantly forgetting stuff as I'm saying it. But I'll still talk about it. But if there's any other questions you got and stuff, I'll start answering some of that as well. So Jimmy Rogers said, I'm getting into comics. Any books to recommend? I've just picked up Long Halloween and Hush, so I want Marvel stuff to read now as well. I'm not incredibly up to date with modern Marvel stuff. As I've said 1,000 times, I feel like I always feel like I'm sponsored by them, the amount I talk about it, but I read all my stuff on Ultimate Marvel Unlimited. It's like £60 a year or £10 a month. Obviously, £60 a year is a much better deal, and you can read everything they have up there, thousands and thousands and thousands of comics. So it's how I read everything, but it's about 6 months to a year behind current comics, because they obviously want you to go out and buy the new comics. You can buy them digitally, but I just don't have the money to buy new comics. That's why I just read them online instead. So I'm not fully up to date with newer stuff. But the era that I got into comics was about... It wasn't the year I started reading comics, but it was where I looked at and went, I'm going to start reading. The first comic I ever read was issue 1 of New Avengers Breakout. The Avengers are disbanded due to the events of Avengers Disassembled, which is a great story in itself. And then a new Avengers team ends up coming together just by circumstance, because, like in the original Avengers, there was a threat that happened to bring a bunch of heroes together, and then they decided to reform the Avengers. I read that. It was a free one. They allowed you to read as almost like an incentive to get you to start subscribing, and it worked because I wanted to find out what happened. So for me personally, that's my favorite time in comics. If you want to read anything, you've got Avengers Disassembled, which is, you don't have to read, but it's cool to find out what happened. Actually, no, I would, because you read that and something happens that makes the Avengers disband. It's like the 500th issue of Avengers. Then from there, if you can't read all the individual comics in between, House of M, Wanda Maximoff loses her mind and creates an alternate reality where everyone pretty much gets whatever they want in a world where mutants are the supreme force and humans are sort of looked down on as scum, but not in a dictatorship, or kind of, actually. But anyway, stuff happens, blah, 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 blah. Alternate universe fun. It's really cool to see what everyone's dream and desire was and stuff like that. After that, Civil War. After that, Secret Invasion. And then, by that point, you're hooked. So Siege, I guess, after that. Dark Reign. Norman Osborn runs his own Dark Avengers, runs S.H.I.E.L.D., which is now called Hammer. I just love that. I just love that whole time in comics. It was so good. You just read New Avengers and weave it in between those main stories. Oh, it's just so good. I still pronounce Dum Dum Dugan whenever you play Alliance 1, yeah. Dum Dum Dugan. That's a blast from the past. I really want to go back and play those games. But as I say, if I can get this recording software working with the original Xbox that's sitting back there, then X-Men Legends is going to be will be coming up at some point in the future. That'd be fun. And I haven't played. I played a bit of X-Men Legends 2 when I was a kid. I've never played X-Men Legends 1. So other than trying to get the recording to work, so it's gonna be fun. Just playing it blind, see what happens. Are you gonna grind to get the Gladiator Hulk costume? I was going to. When they released the free DLC with Cyclops and Colossus, I was going to. And for my last recording session, have him wear the Gladiator Hulk. And then I realized your characters had to be like 70 or 80 or something like that. And just thought, nah. Which again speaks about the replayability, or at least the interest in the game, that I've just lost interest in even grinding to get a costume. Which is a shame. I had so much plans for that game. If we narrow it down to heroes, maybe a reality warp like Franklin Richards. Yeah, Franklin Richards could do so much. That's something I want in comics, actually. It's for them to actually progress. I want characters to get older. Like they're doing this thing, or at least last time I paid attention, they were doing this thing with generations. Like you got Miles Morales, you got Miss Marvel, and then you got a whole bunch of others, Nova, and stuff like that, which Amadeus Chow is the new Hulk. And you got all these younger people that come taking over the mantle, in a sense, from the older ones. What I would actually like to see in comics is progression. Spider-Man to get old, Captain America to get old, and eventually retire. They don't all have to die, but eventually retire. I'd love to see Spider-Man get married, have a kid, settle down, and maybe tutor Miles Morales, and there'd be a new section of heroes. Because then we'll get to see Franklin Richards get older, and you'll get to see these future versions of them that always come back in time and stuff like that. But I don't think they're ever going to do that, because they would never kill off all their big characters. Yeah, the Activision Marvel game's so rare now. It's not in store, but if you already own it, then you can download it whenever you want. Yeah, that's probably the same reason why I like on my PlayStation 3 Ultima Alliance 2, I can still play as Juggernaut. I don't think it's ever possible to get him anymore, but I can still play him because... Are you going to continue playing Days Gone? Nah, I've mentioned it in my last live stream and in a couple of the Captain's Quarters, but nah, I ran out of time. I just didn't have time to play it, and it was that or Spider-Man or that or Ultima Alliance 3, and it was too much time went past, and I just lost interest in playing it. And I've heard it's a bleeding long game as well. It's still on the Sony servers. I'll have to check, but I don't think, yeah, you can't. It just needs to re-release it. I just want to play it again, damn it. I just want to play it. X-Men Legends walkthrough would be dope, yeah. And I've got both of them as well, so I'll be doing X-Men Legends 2 afterwards. It's just, with this recording equipment, I'm getting the picture, but the sound is just jumping in like that. And obviously that would get really annoying. But yeah, X-Men Legends would be cool, especially since I haven't played it as well, so... Wow, this YouTube live chat is so brutal. Someone just posted, Ramian just posted, like what? Bruce Wayne retired and passed his mantle to the likes of Damien, Dick, and Tim. And because he's put Dick, it's hit it. Come on, YouTube. Yeah, kind of like that, though. I mean, I don't know how they'd ever do it. Like, because obviously eventually all their big characters would be gone. But if they did it slowly over time, like as you say, with Damien, Dick, or Tim, or with characters that we've known for a long time, you'd accept it. And they don't have to become Batman. Like, it could be Nightwing. Like, it doesn't have to be the characters get replaced. But just eventually, Dick is the name on YouTube. Yeah, I know. Like, I don't know why it gives it the option for me to... like hide it as if it was you're being awful or something. But yeah, I just would love to see some progression in comics, not it always going back to the status quo. Like, even like they don't even have to retire Batman or Spider-Man or anything, but just their life progresses. It's why everyone hated Brand New Day and the Spider-Man story so much, because Spider-Man was married and then God forbid kill off Aunt May and get rid of all of it. He's back to a single guy working for the Daily Bugle again, and it's just like all that, like, we grew up with it. Like, I don't know. Life moves on, you know. And if they feel like it doesn't appeal to the demographic, then bring in a new character that does. Just don't change the other. Anyway, where was I? I kind of lost the comments a little bit. I'll wrap this thing up in a little bit. Yeah, we're coming on the hour mark, and I'm getting hungry. Need to put some food in my belly. The Spider Family comics were fantastic because of that, with MJ and their daughter. Yeah, because there's was it called Spider Girl with Mayday Parker? I wanted to read those for quite a while actually, where it's like in the universe where it's MJ and Peter's daughter, I believe it is, who's Spider Man, and like Spider Man or Spider Girl, and Spider Man's retired, and like stuff like that. I'd love to see it if you got to a point where Spider Man didn't even necessarily have to retire, but has a family and blah 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 blah. And if they say, well, it's got rid of that single life Spider Man that kids grew up loving, well, Miles Morales, Spider Gwen, bring in new characters and let the older characters actually progress and learn from their mistakes. And as much as I love like the single his life's a mess Peter Parker, I didn't like it when he ran Parker Industries. I think that was a bit too far in the other direction. But make him still be Peter Parker, but make his life progress. Like Aunt May has to die. I'm sorry, but she does. She must be like 200 at this point. Recently, Jason Todd made the Dark Trinity and is becoming even more badass. I'm not sure if you read or watch videos on those comics. I haven't read any DC. I've read Watchmen, and I've read, I think it was some of the first part of Justice League New 52. Oh, and I've read Flashpoint. But that's it. Again, just because I don't have a place to read them. If there was like I've tried doing the DC Universe. It's not available here in the UK. And Comixology, I think it is. You have to pay for the individual issues, so I might as well just go out and buy the books. But if they can get like a Marvel Unlimited here in the UK, but for DC, I'd be all over that. So over that. Sorry, I just joined in. Oh, how you doing? Operation Stratos. So I might be repeating someone, but can you replay Shattered Dimensions or Edge of Time? I would like to, but again, it's the same problem as I have with Ultima Alliance 1 or 2. It's on my PS3, and my new recording software can't record from it because of the Sony block thing. So, but if that wasn't the case, yeah, I'd replay them. Maybe I have to check, see if they're on the Xbox store or the PS4 store or something like that. Imagine 200 Aunt Mays. You help someone, you help everyone, literally. 200 Aunt Mays going out. It's like his workforce. I wish there was a situation where Starfire falls in love with Jason when Grayson died. DC Injustice games. That was a game I said I would never play because I'm not interested in like that Mortal Kombat style fighting games. But Injustice is something I've actually considered recently, mainly just because the story is really cool. From what I hear, the story is supposed to be really good. I've caught a cutscene or two just as it pops up in my recommended on YouTube. I don't know. I kind of like the fighting aspect of it. It doesn't appeal to me at all, but the story does actually sound too good. It does actually sound pretty decent. Do you think the Joker film will have a seismic effect on the MCU? Apparently, Phoenix's portrayal is so different but so good. This may be the first time that I might feel sympathetic towards the Joker. I am not interested in that film at all. Nothing to do with it. DC, it's Marvel. Woo. Nothing to do with that. I just it just doesn't seem to appeal to me. But I've heard it's supposed to be really, really, really good. I'm just trying to decide, is that because it's so different from every other superhero film, so the critics are going, oh, yes, that's the film I like to see, or if it's actually good. So I might go and see it. I'm not too sure. But I've heard apparently like Phoenix's portrayal is supposed to be really good. Almost like holding up a mirror to society, apparently. But we'll see. I don't think it will have an effect on the MCU or anything like that. The MCU is what it is at this point. But I really wish the DCEU was good. Like a lot of people, I feel like they say like if one says the other one's bad, it's like, oh, you're just a so-and-so fan. You're just a so-and-so fan. It's like, yeah, I read Marvel, but it's not because I don't like DC. It's just because I don't have any access to DC stuff on my budget, at least. But if the DCEU was, I just wish it, I don't know, had a direction from the get-go and it wasn't rushed. And I don't know. It's a shame. It's a real shame. I remember when some people didn't like the younger Aunt May in the MCU, but I don't mind either way. She's his aunt, not his grandma. So it's not unreasonable. Either way, I don't mind. Yeah, plus, and they're probably just trying to make it so she can stick around for a long time. I like how in each reboot, she's got younger and younger. But then so Spider-Man, actually. Just thinking about it. But I mean, in most of the MCU, I think that makes most characters as young as they can, to just so they can play the character for longer. I think I'll do a few more questions, and then I think we might wrap this one up. What do you think of the Spider-Man PS4 suit? I really like it. When we first saw gameplay for that game, I wasn't too sure, but it really grew on me. I like how they made put their own spin on it. They made their character their own, you know. But no, it really grew on me. That's why I used it quite a lot in my walkthrough. I actually really enjoy the suit. It's quite nice. I know some people that went to Venice Film Festival, and they all agreed that Phoenix's portrayal is the main factor for the film's being a success. Yeah. One of those things, like if they put another actor in his place, the film just would have been like, it's okay. Spider-Man PS4, which suit was your favorite? Mine was the 2099 suit. God, this was a question that would have been great in the Spider-Man PS4 Let's Talk. But favorite, oh man, I have such problems picking my favorite of anything. It all depends on what mood you're in, really. I loved at the time when it was released, my first playthrough of Spider-Man, I used the Avengers Iron Spider suit so much. I really enjoyed that. Do you know what? It's quite funny. From what I've seen of it, the stealth suit they used in Far From Home, I've enjoyed in this game more than I did in the film, which is just odd. Oh, I love the Black Cat stealth suit. I thought that was really cool. He kind of looked like he was into some aggressive sexual play. Let's just put it that way, when he first put on that suit. But I really liked it. When you actually see the more high-res shots of that suit, it's good. Any suit where the eyes moved, I really like those suits. They're all cool. Yeah. I don't know. I can't pick favorites. I'm useless at picking favorites of anything. Have you watched any of the animated DC movies? No, but give me a list of what ones I should watch. The only one I saw was the one that's supposed to be a really good story, but the animated one was naff. Oh, the one with the Joker. Oh, it doesn't narrow it down. The one about where he shoots Barbara Gordon and blah, 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 blah. That's the only one I've watched. And apparently that's supposed to be like one of the worst ones. But I've heard the DC animated movies are supposed to be some of their best work. But yeah, give me a list. And I'll... Killing Joke. Yeah, that was the one. I think that was the one I watched. Supposed to be a really good graphic novel, but the apparently animated movie wasn't supposed to be that good. When's my birthday? The 11th of August. We have just missed it. What year? Every year. Hot Fuzz is such a good film. I've read Flashpoint. But yeah, any DC animated movies, stick them in. New 52 DC or any DC animated films. Whatever the great DC animated films. It's weird that we're talking about this on the Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 live stream. But yeah, any DC animated films that are supposed to be like the really good ones, let me know. I'd love to watch them. What did I think of Far From Home? I spoke about that in quite great detail in the, if you look back in my videos, I did a Spider-Man PS4 live stream just last week, I think it was, or earlier this week. I spoke a lot about Far From Home in there, so go back and give that a watch. But basically, I was left kind of wanting more. My favorite suit, 2099, advanced suit. Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Is that a thing? Oh, man, my phone's going off again. You were born on the same day as God, aka Chris Hemsworth, and yours truly. Oh, you got the same birthday. Oh, nice one. Well, happy birthday for like last month. Oh yeah, we're nearly a month away now. I think it's also Hulk Hogan's birthday, I think, as well, if I remember rightly. My phone is going crazy right now. Teen Titans versus Justice League. Oh, I bet that would be a good one, actually. I've heard a lot of the Batman ones are supposed to be good as well. Batman Under the Red Hood, yeah. Oh, that's good, yeah. So you just stick them all in the chat. If I ever want to go back and watch one, I'll just go back to this video and look in the live feed to, to find out. Thanks. Off-topic question: have you ever watched Scrubs? Considering you worked in medicine, I loved Scrubs. When it was like originally first out, oh my god, I loved it. It was the TV show for me while I was in college. I remember binge. I think season 4 or 5 came out. 3 or 4? No, 3 or 4 came out when I was in college. Oh my god, I love Scrubs so much. A lot of people said when I got into medicine, they were like, it's not going to be like Scrubs. I was like, yeah, I'm not an idiot. I'm aware the real world is different. But oh my god, Scrubs was so good, especially like the first 4 or 5 years. Amazing. Eagle. Justice League Unlimited, the old series, Death of Superman, The Dark Knight Returns. I believe there's 2 movies. Cool. Right, yeah, definitely. I bet you loved House. Oh, yeah. I've watched all 8 seasons twice. Just because there was somebody who wanted to watch it with me, and I was like, yeah, I'll watch it again. I don't love them because they're medicine shows. It's just because they're good shows. Man, this Q&A is going right off the rails. It's gone completely off topic. Talking about DC and Scrubs. And have you seen New Amsterdam? I'm not even sure what that is. Sorry. Let's see, it was called Reign of Superman. Good. Batman Beyond Return. Okay, right. So if anyone's got any questions they want to ask, I'm going to wrap this thing up now. So if anyone's got anything they want to ask, get it asked now. Stick it in the chat now. I know there's a bit of a delay in the chat, but ask it now because I'm going to end this thing now. I need to go put some dinner in my belly. Have you watched Community? No, I haven't. Heard that was supposed to be good as well before it got cancelled. These days, if something gets cancelled, it's probably because it's good. Other than all the shows that aren't. My main point from earlier, DC changes the characters' personalities for the movie, which is how I view it, which seems to hold them back to me. When's the next Q&A? Next, like Captain's Quarters. I'm going to work on that now, actually. It's been way over a month since the last one. I've really slacked with that. It's just with Ultima Alliance and Spider-Man and stuff like that, I was just struggling to keep up. Obviously, now I've got more time on my hands. I'll get working on the next Captain's Quarters and hopefully get it up as soon as I can, really. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Upward Boss. My final verdict on the game. Completely forgot. See, I told you, my brain just goes. It completely goes. Right, so yeah, final. Look at the bloody title, Dave. Yeah, so final verdict on the game. Like I said at the end of the walkthrough, I liked it. I thought it was fun. It left me lacking. It left me wanting more. The combat I did find fun. I just think the focus on that stagger bar was just relentless. If they had just limited it just to boss battles, it would have been. You would have felt like, oh crap, this guy's got a stagger bar. He's the real deal. But so many enemies had that goddamn stagger bar. I would have said maybe if they introduced something else, like maybe shields or something like that. But I think that would have made it so much worse. I feel like if they limited the stagger bar and then maybe put more customizability into the characters, remove the ISO 8 completely, just get rid of that. That was just a waste of time. But yeah, it's decent. But I wouldn't rank it above the other 2. I wouldn't write home to the family about it. Yeah, I'm sure there's other stuff. My brain's awful. I've such trouble remembering stuff these days. There was other stuff I'm sure I wanted to talk about, and I'll forget, and I'll get really angry that I forgot. Do I watch the Flash CW? Yeah, I watch all of them. The only one I don't watch is Legends of Tomorrow. I tried so hard to keep up with that, but I lost interest in it. I'm really looking forward to Crisis on Infinite Earths. I mean, it's not the best show in the world, but I do enjoy it. It's my guilty pleasure. Ghost Rider in the MCU, you got to think it's coming. You've got to think it's coming with Blade and everything else that's been announced. How's your Patreon going? It's going okay. Got two patrons at the moment. I can't remember the names off the top of my head. I do apologize, but I'm going to have a look right now, and it's not going to let me log in, is it? No, it's not going to let me log in. Sorry. But yeah, I've got 2 patrons. There's a link on my channel, and it's in all the descriptions of my video if you ever want to go and help me out on Patreon. I'll greatly greatly appreciate it. It helps me. It just helps buy games and stuff like that for this channel and get new equipment when everything inevitably breaks. But descriptions always, links always in the description. Stuff like that, man. My brain is really going right now. Future walk, I know I was already, but... Right, so I'm getting lots of questions about next walkthrough, what's coming next, which makes sense because there's nothing on the channel right now. Yeah, do you know what? Media Ghost hit the nail on the head. It feels like a mobile game that was rushed to be ported onto the Switch. Kind of does, actually. So yeah, okay. So what do I think that's coming up next with the channel? I said the same at the end of my walkthrough. I'll do a separate video just talking about it because I know not everyone tunes into these things. Right now, I'm taking a little bit of a break from not necessarily from YouTube, but just from making videos constantly like this. I'm not disappearing, and this isn't like the end of my great comeback. I just need to take a little bit of a break. I don't have time right now to constantly have videos uploaded all the time. So what I'm going to do is I can take a little break. The next thing I will be working on will be Skyrim. It needs to be finished. I need to get this going. It's not joining the ether along with Fallout New Vegas and Telltale, Walking Dead and Days Gone. Now it is going to get finished. So I'm going to be working on Skyrim next, but there'll be no videos probably for a good while, a couple of weeks, maybe a month or so. Who knows? Because there's other things in my life I want to focus on as well. But that doesn't mean I'm gone. It just means in this time when I'm not here, I'm going to be working on making new videos. And then when I get a bunch of videos, kind of like I did with Spider-Man, I'll just start uploading them and we'll have another walkthrough. But yeah, Skyrim's going to be the next thing I focus on after that. If I can get it fixed, could get XMen Legends maybe. So I'm just seeing everyone saying, yeah, you took Gaston. Oh, that's good. Finished in like 3 years. Yeah, probably, roughly 3:30, something like that. But yeah, but after Skyrim, it's a long ass game. But when we get that done, probably like XMen Legends or I don't know, something. You never know. Maybe I'd love to live stream some Mass Effect again. Who knows? But yeah. I think that's where we're ending this up. Oh yeah, and then, see, look, I can't remember, but yeah, the other people saying like about Injustice or Lego DC Supervillains or Lego Avengers or Lego Marvel or anything to do with Lego. Yeah, that's all possible for the future. Can't say when, but it's all a possibility for the future. I wouldn't rule them out. They're all games that I'd like to play on this channel at some point in the future. Will the Deadpool Moonwalk be in the Captain's Classics? Man, I can't even. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Maybe. I forgot about that. I know the Spider-Man being dragged by the car definitely is. I forgot all about that. But yeah, next thing I'll be focused on will be Skyrim. But as I say, I will be taking a little bit of a break just to work on other stuff outside of YouTube. And then once I've got enough content ready to upload, I'll start uploading it. But other than that, next thing I really look forward to is Captain's Classics. Not Captain's Classics, Captain's Quarters. Come on, brain, work. Captain's Quarters. Maybe some Captain's Classics if I get around to editing them. And then, yeah, we'll just see. Probably just some random content will be chucked up for the meantime. But yeah, if you don't see anything on this channel for a good while, don't worry. I'm not gone. I'm just working on other stuff outside of YouTube. But yeah, radio. Let's end that one. So we'll wrap that up. Thanks for jumping in, you guys. The car from Spider-Man. Yeah, that's the one. That's going to be in the Captain's Classics. The one where the guy's heads in the DLC was sticking out the back, and then I threw them across the street. The one where I nearly died from laughing. That one. But yeah, thanks for coming out, guys. Love it. I really do enjoy having these little Q&As. I really do enjoy it. It's quite fun. I'm going to have to do more live streaming, like actual gameplay in the future. The only issue I have with that is I really struggle to read and play at the same time. But anyway, yeah. Thanks for coming out, guys. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later.